So, folks, we gotta talk about Nick Shirley at CPAC. This little cretin brought down ICE on Minneapolis. I hold him, at the very least, indirectly responsible for the deaths that have occurred here as a result of ICE being unleashed upon my city. And I think this man genuinely might be in the running for the dumbest guy on the conservative right, which is really saying something. Like, you've got an entire pantheon of Dave Rubins, of what's his butt with I want to say Rothmus, but I know that's a different guy. The guy who has the rotting rat for an alarm clock. You guys know which guy I'm talking about. He has a blood wall. Asmongold, that's it.
Keep doing what you do.
Thank you, Northern Fox.
You make my nights so much better and give me motivation to get active.
Hell yeah. But let's dive into it. Let's see what Nick Shirley's big CPAC speech was about. You know, the guy who got famous somehow for knocking on the doors of childcare institutions demanding to be presented with children and then crying fraud when they wouldn't show him kids at his whim when he showed up with 6 guys in masks behind him. It's awful. It's awful. He's awful. Let's see what this crusty ass twink has to say.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. The Dogs of Doge with Nick Shirley is the name of his... Okay, alright. This is already stupid.
I'm super excited to be here and to be able to speak to you guys today. And I'm not here to speak on behalf of Republicans nor Democrats. I'm here to speak...
I'm not here to speak on behalf of Democrats or Republicans. I say at the Conservative Political Action Conference... I can barely string a couple words together.
On behalf of we the people. I think nowadays...
Yeah, I speak on behalf of everybody, which is why I am at an extraordinarily partisan political conference.
We can all agree that we all just want to live the American dream and have the best life possible.
You know, unless you're an immigrant following the law, but you don't give a shit if they're legally here. You don't give a shit if they're not doing anything wrong. You don't give a shit if they're not doing anything illegal. You want to steal the American dream from people who look different from you because you can profit off of their misery. You little dickless weasel.
However, it feels that sometimes, actually a lot of times, non-controversial issues are becoming controversial inside of America. For instance, if you take a look at the idea of deporting illegal migrants, that word is illegal. That should not be controversial.
People who cross the border are not illegal. The kind of law breaking they have done, to whatever extent it is considered law breaking, is equivalent to getting a parking ticket. Do you think you should be put in a concentration camp for getting a parking ticket? Do you think you should have your entire life blown up because of a parking ticket? Like, people who drive over the speed limit are literally bigger criminals than someone who has entered the country, you know, through what Nick Shirley considers unlawful means. And not only that, just want to point out here, we're talking about, like, administrative misdemeanors. We're talking about issues that could be solved with, like, paperwork and paying, like, a fine. That should not be controversial, says barely literate man.
Or the idea that showing your ID to vote has become controversial.
People haven't had to show their ID to vote. That's a new development. The only reason people are being asked to show their ID to vote is to make it harder to vote. It's to make it so that fewer people are able to vote. To make it so that, you know, the system is rigged towards folks who have the means, who have the time, etc., to actually, clear the hurdles to be able to vote. You don't need an ID to vote. They have voter rolls. They have voter registration. This isn't difficult here.
That's not controversial either. The idea that fraud is bad has become controversial. How is that controversial? I know a little bit about fraud.
How is that controversial? Well, because you're saying, well, it's not controversial in response to something that was literally pushed for by a lobbying organization representing a variety of different corporations, and the corporations that wanted voter ID laws were literally private prison corporations, the exact private prison corporations that, by the way, are profiting off of slave labor, and also who are profiting off of the deportation of, or rather, not the deportation, the holding of people indefinitely awaiting their deportation. Yeah, that's how it became controversial.
I know a little bit about Minnesota daycares as well.
No, you don't. You're a random guy who showed up with a camera and like 6 armed security guys in masks behind you, demanding to be shown like babies at daycare centers. And when people said, no, we're not going to do that, you're a creepy weirdo off the street, you then made an hour-long video about it, claiming that it was evidence of fraud. This guy is so fucking dumb, guys. This guy is so fucking dumb. He went to a medical administration building and walked around its halls going, I don't see any healthcare happening here, when he was walking past the offices of home health companies. Home health companies send nurses to homes. They don't do the healthcare at the administrative building. This guy is dumb as a box of rocks.
And it's crazy to think that we live in a world where somebody who exposes fraud can then be painted as the bad man from the politicians where he exposed the fraud. Shouldn't they be excited to know that the fraud is being exposed, because that's not a Republican dollar or a Democrat dollar, it's actually our dollars.
Bro, you didn't even expose fraud. You got a guy whose entire history is working in lockstep with the Minnesota GOP to, like, present you evidence that he fucking bullshit fabricated of, like, things he thought were suspicious because he's a raging racist lunatic who hates Somali folks. He's a long history of calling them literal demons.
I've never gotten a dollar bill that says right or red or blue or right or left. We all live inside of the same country.
Red, right, or roo, huh? Am I right, guys?
We should all want the best for our country. And when you see fraud inside of our country taking place at literally rampant levels, for instance, in Minnesota, there were programs like autism where you have 10,000% increases in the budget for autism. And this money...
This guy is really stupid. This guy is like autism, 10,000% increase to autism. It's like, yeah, maybe more people are being diagnosed than there were like 20 years ago because we know more about how to diagnose autism now. It's not difficult to figure out. Nick Shirley is so dumb that even asses are like, whoa, bro, we don't want to be associated with that.
Then goes into the hands of fraudsters. How does somebody not look at that and say, there's a 10,000% increase in the budget for autism? Is there a 10,000% increase in autistic children inside of our neighborhoods? And if the answer is no, how are they justifying a 10,000% increase in the budget? And in other instances like California, where you have 1,000% increase in hospices.
Just in case anyone is curious, the rate of diagnosis of autism went from 1 in 150 to 1 in 31 over the course of 22 years because we got better at diagnosing autism. That's it. And so the government increased the budget to provide assistance for people who have autistic children. It's not difficult to figure out. We learned how to do this better, and it turned out more people needed more assistance. It's not that difficult. Also, the budget to assist folks who have children with autism was tiny back in 2000. It's bigger now because the need has like become more apparent. I paid for all those Tylenols for nothing.
Is everyone going to die in LA?
What?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry. Did I have a stroke? Did I pass out? Did I black out and just miss how the fuck he's talking about people dying in LA?
To have and in other instances like California, where you have 1,000% increase in hospices. Is everyone going to die in LA?
Yes, people are in fact mortal. Everyone in LA will die at some point. And also, there's an increase in hospice care because more people are dying as the baby boomer generation gets older. This isn't difficult. This isn't difficult to understand, man. Like, more people are getting older right now than previously were getting older. And also, more people have like retirement funds and the ability to pay for end of life care in hospice. So, and like, of course, people in LA have more ability to pay for this stuff because, generally speaking, more people in LA are wealthier. So, like, yes, man, oftentimes I have hope for the future of humanity when I see, up and coming young people, but like, man, this guy is a walking, talking example of the failure of our education system, I tell you what.
I don't think so. So the idea that here inside the United States, when we have these non-controversial issues that have become controversial, it puts us into a weird culture war where it puts people into a position to think, okay, well, wait, how are you supporting this when you're actually not benefiting we the people? We all live inside of the United States. We're not supposed to be, when elected officials elected, they're not supposed to represent 50% of the population. They're supposed to represent 100% of the population.
Man, it's really wild that you're saying that at a fucking CPAC event. One of the most partisan events in the country. You're not supposed to just represent your own constituents. You're supposed to represent everybody in your districts. Man, tell that to Republicans. Like conservatives fight to like better the lives of conservative mega donors. Folks on the left, we fight for Medicare for all. Not just Medicare for like, wealthy people. It's Medicare for all. And like, this guy's like, well, why can't you're supposed to represent everybody? You think Donald Trump fucking represents everybody, bud? One of the biggest piss babies on earth, whose like main platform is just fulfilling personal vendettas and getting petty revenge on his adversaries? Okay.
In an instance where fraud is taking place inside our country, each and every single person should want to crack down on that fraud. Because if we don't, these people can continue just to literally steal our dollars. And they steal our dollars, and then...
I just want to say, you know what? I'm going to look it up right now. Okay? Okay, so just as an FYI, in the time since Nick Shirley dropped his fraud expose, no fraud has actually been demonstrated from any of these daycares. And they have been the target of investigation. So, just as an FYI, worth noting that, I suppose.
They send it overseas, and once it's overseas, we can't ever get that money back. And that's something that I've learned as I've gone about exposing this fraud. And a lot of times, these people that are...
That's not fraud. they're getting paid and they're choosing to spend what they got paid by sending it back to their family. That's just having the freedom to move your own stuff around.
Taking our tax dollars are foreigners who are not even from the United States of America, and they're stealing our money. And it's just been so crazy to see how in all 50 states there is fraud. However, it seems to be that most of the fraud is in a lot of these blue cities. And when you go out and expose the fraud, I mean, I think Gavin Newsom, he posted a photo of me the other day and had 10 cameras on me, an AI-generated image saying, "Where are the kids?" trying to depict me as a pervert for exposing fraud. How sick does a governor have to be to say that the kid exposing the fraud is the bad person?
It's interesting how sometimes he's a man and other times he's a kid. He's a grown-ass adult, number one. Number two, you were knocking on doors of daycares demanding to be shown children. Like, genuinely, if I, a trans person, went around knocking on the doors of daycares and filming it, there'd be a fucking scandal, all right, but there would be millions of people calling for my execution for being like a weird creep, okay? And you did it, and Republicans embrace you because you're a white man, and you might be the dumbest man ever to exist, but they agree with your preconceived notions of, you know, foreigners being bad and like, you know, clearly they're trying to steal from us, etc., etc., etc. Like they buy into all your racist garbage. But like fundamentally what you're doing is knocking on doors and demanding to be shown children that are not yours. You're a guy off the street trying to go into a daycare to see kids. And that is really fucking weird and gross.
Versus the fraudsters that are stealing the money. And going through this experience of exposing this fraud, I finally came to understand why, for instance, why they attack Elon Musk so hard, why they burn down his factories, or why they burn down his cars, or why they attack him so much when he was simply exposing fraud to help every single citizen. Well, it just happens to be that these politicians don't want the fraud to be exposed because they're involved in the fraud. And
man, even these guys are clapping like they know he's full of shit.
Nowadays, since I've posted that video, my life has changed. It changed a little bit. I'm speaking here in front of all you guys, so thank you. But my life's changed a little bit because the idea that a governor, for instance, Gavin Newsom, can go ahead and post that photo, and everyone knows that I'm not the bad man for exposing the fraud, but a small group will then think, wow, that kid is a bad person. He is...
I'm sorry, did he just go from calling himself a man to a kid again? It's so weird.
What they're trying to depict me to be. That now I have to walk around with security when I go to cities. Or
when I want to be, it's my birthday. I'm just a little birthday boy. But when I'm doing something cool, I'm a big tough man.
People will try to literally... Last time I was in California, I was just there the other day. I couldn't stay at a hotel because last time I was in California, after I posted that fraud video, somebody tried to take a photo and put it into a Reddit group chat, and a group of people were looking for me because I exposed the fraud. Like, that's crazy.
You didn't expose any fraud. None of the videos you've put out have actually included any substantiated fraud at all. This is fucking nuts. Here's the very conservative outlet, the Washington Examiner. Okay? Let's just take a quick look. This article is from December 30th of last year. Minnesota officials reveal previous investigations into child daycare centers uncovered no findings of fraud. Minnesota State Commissioner announced on Monday that past investigations of several child care centers at the focus of a viral video on fraudulent daycares have not produced any findings of fraud. That's from a conservative outlet, guys. And like, he's still going around making these claims, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, guys.
To think that we live in a society nowadays where somebody going to do a big public service for the country has to worry for their life. And it actually makes me a bit upset, because how have we gotten to that point where we've lost common sense and where non-controversial issues have become controversial? And it's actually very worrisome. And a lot of people come up to me and say, well, Nick, how can we help? Or how do we do what you did inside our own communities? Or how do you have like the courage to go about and do this? And I've really fallen in love with the quote or the speech from Theodore Roosevelt that's called The Man in the Arena. And it talks about critics and talks about how like you don't ever worry what a critic does as long as you know you're fighting for a worthy cause. And it doesn't matter if you fail as long as you're working for a worthy cause. But who's to say that you're not the one risking everything, standing there all alone, going about it? And why should you worry about the critics?
Yeah, you're a real hero, man.
The naysayers, or why should you worry about the opposition when you're fighting for a worthy cause? We all are fighting for a worthy cause inside of our communities, with our families, in our churches, at our schools, because a lot of things that we're fighting against are non-controversial issues that have become controversial. No girl should ever have to worry about a man playing on their sports team. Like, the idea that that's become controversial is insane.
we got
and
transphobia here out of left field.
Who are ready to become that man in the arena to be able to confront the opposition, confront those critics. Because if no one does, they will win.
Is the background music supposed to be inspiring? No.
That aren't controversial.
It's Oblivion NPC music.
Each one of us have to step up and become that person who steps in the arena and says, I don't care what they say, or I don't care what he or she says. I'm going to do it because it's a worthy cause. And if we don't...
Is this your music or his? It's mine.
Because if you don't, the critics will win. And their voices are a lot louder. That's how they try to intimidate you. Imagine if I would have been intimidated by Governor Walz calling me a delusional conspiracy theorist, a far-right white supremacist, or all the other things that those politicians called me. In fact, they even incited...
He can't say white supremacist. I'm a white supremacist. What are you talking about? This fucking daughter. It's oh my god. Imagine if I had been intimidated. You literally didn't go to the hotel you had booked, man. You have been intimidated multiple times by people pointing out that what you did is fucking weird.
Riots inside their cities for somebody who exposed fraud. Meanwhile, the Leering Center, it wasn't much to hide. Like, that fraud was very obvious. In fact, the Leering Center then even closed down. They fled the city because they know they're committing fraud. And one thing for you guys to think about is, who are the critics? Who are those people that are saying that you're the bad person or that what you're doing is not right? Well, a lot of times it's the media. A lot of the times it's that person who listens to the media where they've lost that idea of common sense thinking. And so nowadays, the most important thing I feel like for any of us to do is to think, okay, is the cause I'm fighting for, is it a controversial issue? Or is actually non-controversial, but it's an issue that has become controversial from the critics? And we cannot ever pander to the critics, and we have to keep pursuing a worthy cause. Because what we're fighting for is worthy. America is the greatest country in the world. And people like to act like it's not, but meanwhile, all the other countries had thousands of years to do it. We had 250 years to do it. And whatever made us the greatest...
What the fuck are you talking about? Other countries had thousands of years to become great. We only had 250. We're so strong and big. No one can match how great we are. When we are together and love America...
This country in those 250 years, we need to make sure that it remains that same way, or else we will fall and the critics will win, and we will not stay the greatest country in the world. And so that's my message for you guys today, is to think, really, okay, what cause are we fighting for? Is it a worthy cause? Is it something that's actually not controversial, but maybe the mainstream media or a critic has told me that that's a controversial issue? And when you know it's not, fight and be ready to become the man or the woman in the arena, because if you don't, the critics...
Wait a minute. Be ready to become the man or woman in the arena? Is Nick Shirley saying anyone can become a man or woman in the arena? Is what America's really about becoming a man or woman in the arena? It's non-binary erasure, but you know, I think this guy is accidentally being trans-affirming. You know what?
Fucking pronouns!
He gets the fucking pronouns award.
Will win, and this is the greatest country in the world for a reason. We did it in 250 years. Everyone else had thousands of years to do it, and we did that.
Oh my god, he's saying the stupid thing again. Why would you say it again? Why would you say this like it's a good point? Everywhere else had thousands of years to be great. America is just 250 years. Like, this is genuinely some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen conservatives slop up. This is sub Tim Pool level, and Tim Pool is maybe one of the, like, creates maybe the lowest common denominator conservative slop that's out there. You know? Like, get this man on a show with Dave Rubin and, I've already forgotten his name. Dave Rubin, What If Alt Hist, Nick Shirley, Tim Pool, and the Rat Man, okay? Get all of them on a show together and just watch the stupid fly, okay? If we get them all in the same room, I have a theory that they're just going to collapse into one another like a black hole. It's going to look like a dying star in there. All right? It's just going to implode the earth. And, honestly, we might deserve that fate. Don't forget Moonlord. We can forget Moonlord. It's fine.
I'm proud to be here today, and I know you guys are all ready to become that man or that woman in the arena, because it is a worthy cause that we are fighting for.
But don't get in that arena. If you're becoming that man in the arena, don't get in that arena with a woman. And if you're becoming a woman in that arena, don't get in that arena with a man, because no men in women's sports. Am I right, everybody? Ha 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 ha. It makes sense if you squint your brain about it. Ha 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 ha.
Thank you.
Also, that people are going to describe Nick Shirley as like this brilliant up-and-coming content creator. And I want you to search your heart. Was that the whole speech? That was the whole speech. I want you guys to search your heart. Was there anything impressive about that man? Was there anything insightful? Was there anything interesting that he said? Or was it maybe one of the most boring speeches you've ever heard? And also, his ideas were stupid, stale, and bad. Like, even by conservative standards. Like, I don't know how they're gonna pull off treating this guy like he is the wrinkliest brained boy in the room, but I am excited to see them try to bend over backwards to call this guy, who is so clearly an unintelligent and uninterested slop bag of a human. I'm interested to see how they're going to try and sell him as like the smartest boy. Guys, you need to organize. You need to organize. We can't let this guy beat us. This is our opposition. Okay, when we're talking about organizing folks in the Democratic Party, kicking out centrists, kicking out establishment Dems, and making our Democratic Party more progressive and more pro-working class. When we talk about organizing with labor unions through the DSA and making DSA more effective, we are talking about beating the kind of money that props up a guy who is that fucking dumb and tries to sell him as the newest intellectual hotshot. Okay? So I want you to look at that and think to yourselves, I could do better than that if I was uncaffeinated and operating on 5 minutes of sleep. Okay? I want you to look at that and be like, yeah, I could show up and knock on some doors to make sure this guy gets nowhere near power. Yeah, I could show up and phone bank. I could show up and volunteer. I could make things happen. Okay? And like, I want you guys to start asking yourselves, can I show up at my local Democratic meetings once a month? Can I show up at my local DSA meetings once a month and like make that happen? Because I think a lot of folks can. I think a lot of you want to. You have the agency to change your local political space and make sure no one like Nick Shirley can ever get remotely close to power ever again in your city, in your town, in your county, in your state. You can make sure that that never happens. Okay? So organize, folks. Organize, organize, organize. And also, I just want to say, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. Comments longer than 8 words help in the algorithm. And also, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, non-tucking lingerie that is sexy and also just cool as shit. It's very comfortable. I'm wearing it right now. I've been wearing it throughout the entire show. It's wonderful. Go check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. We've got new sizes, styles, and colors coming in the near future. And also, you know what? Check it out because, you know what? Knowing it exists would piss off someone like Nick Shirley, whose entire career is going to be built off of bigotry from here on out. You know, check it out. Make some cool stuff happen. And, you know, if you are an ally and someone you love or know is trans, you can also buy them a gift card over there. So check it out. Link down in the doobly-doo. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.